Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. I have a story that I want to share with you, and the story reads like this. Hello my brother, how are you? I am a woman who is aged 44. I have my own story that I want to share with you, and it is a story that has given me a lot of confusion. I do not even know what to believe anymore. I even question myself if reality is real because of everything that I saw, even if this thing happened so many years ago, but I'm still going through that pain of the shock of everything that I saw. What happened is that there was this other man. He is a pastor and a very good friend of our family, but right now he's a little bit older. Even right now, my family calls him our family doctor, because if there is any problem in the family, if anyone gets sick, before any of my relatives, even I, my brother, I used to do this before I had seen all of the things that I saw happening in his church. We would inform him before we could even call our doctor. We used to inform this pastor. Then he would rush to our house and pray for the family. And by him praying for our family, we believed that everything was going to be okay. When my father was still alive, we went to a different church from this pastor's church, because he has his own church that is being run by his son right now. It is not a very big church, but it has a lot of followers. So as a sign of respect, once a month we would go to his church, since he was a very good friend of the family. My father was a man who earned quite a good salary, so he had several businesses. What my father would do is that from each and every business that he had, at that time my father had 3 shops. From each and every shop, when it will be month end, he would take 10% of his profits. Then he would go and give it to the men of God, and he would also take 10% from each and every shop. Then he would pay the tithing at the church where we were attending. So from his salary, he used to take 20%. Then he would go and give the 10% to the church that is owned by that pastor, who is also a family friend. So this was like a thing that used to happen each and every month. My father will make sure that it would happen. My father was a man who loved God so much, and I am grateful to God that at least God did not allow my father to see all that I saw for a reason, because not knowing how my father was going to respond because of the way that he had love for God. After my father had passed away, our family pastor kept on visiting us, visiting my mother. But there was one time in my life when my mother said something that was very funny. Me and my mother, we were just sitting down, and it was like she wanted to ask me, but the way that she was asking me, I felt that there was a strange vibe that was happening between my mother and that pastor. But my mom didn't want me to know that what she wanted to ask me, it was all about her. So she said, in general, my daughter, please tell me, there's this other friend of mine who is about to date a pastor. So what kind of an advice can you give me so that I can give to that woman? So I felt that my mother was being suspicious with the way that she was speaking. I then gave my mother my own opinion, and I told her that if this woman was going to date this married pastor, she will be committing adultery, and it will be very bad in the eyes of the Lord. So from there on, we stopped having that conversation. But my mother, she started acting very weird and awkward. So I just got the vibe that maybe there is something that happened between my mother and that pastor. After this, my mother never spoke about this issue again, and each and every time when the pastor would have visited her without any members of the family being at home, she would try to cover it up as if it was a sin. Yet this pastor used to feel free when our father was still alive, but now my mother was acting very weird, and that pastor used to frequent our house to check up on my mother. That was when the pastor convinced me to come to his church so that I can work for him. But I was working in the department where a lot of things was going on. The department that I was working in, there was a lot of deliverances that were taking place. You know, my brother, this man had managed to pull a blanket over my eyes so that I cannot see everything that was happening. When you believe that someone is a man of God, even if things are there for you to see, maybe our human minds will choose to ignore whatever that will be in front of us, because the moment that I walked into the delivery room, I saw there were people that were being trained, like for real, people were being trained. So it never crossed my mind for me to question this doctrine that I was seeing being played out in front of me. How can you teach someone to be delivered? People would come for delivery school on a daily basis, being delivered, but I chose to ignore it. So it was like the pastor was waiting for me to get used to the environment, and as someone whom he knew that I was trustworthy, he wanted to reveal the secrets to me, but he wanted to do it slowly but surely. Each and every day that I would go to work, there will be a new lesson that will be waiting for me. I saw people being trained on how to cast demons. People were being trained on how to speak in tongues. People were being trained on how to act as if they were possessed. He said that everyone has a demon that lives in their bodies. So you have to be trained to be possessed fully by that demon. So after you have been trained, you will have that ability to take that demon from your soul and it will come into the open. He kept on mentioning chakra and chakra. He said that that is when you will be able to pull out the demon out of your body. And we were believing all of his teachings, my brother. But these teachings, my brother, he never said it in front of church. He would only tell the people that would have come for the delivery sessions, training them how to access their chakra. People would fall, roll over like snakes on the ground, and no one even understood what we were doing. And this thing, Brother Nashi, it was like very enjoyable, because you will feel the power that will be moving all over your body like electricity. Because I admit that whenever you would say, reach down into your soul, where your soul meets your spirit, go into that place. Imagine that you are in that dark place where your soul meets your spirit, and all along we will be sitting down cross-legged. We were just doing simple yoga. Now that we have access to the internet, my brother, I just see that all the things that we used to do in that deliverance school, it was just basic yoga that we were doing. But in those days, we didn't even have any know-how. We didn't have the internet to run and to go and check if the things that we were doing were for real. So we will be sitting cross-legged in that deliverance school with our eyes closed, and we will be meditating whilst you'll be telling us repetitive words. Then you will feel the energy going through your body like electricity. My brother, it was only after he had suggested that I should be taken to another department, and in that department there was a lot of things that was happening there. What they would do, my brother, it is very sad. He had these guys who didn't even come to church. These guys, they were responsible for going around collecting fake people so that the people can pretend as if they have been healed or prophesied upon. So that was the first time that I met those guys. I was given a brown envelope that had money. I was supposed to go and pay them, as well as to give them petrol money, because they were supposed to go and pick up 2 other crippled persons that were in another town. So there was money for fuel, money for food, and their salary. So when I was given these brown envelopes that had money, at first I said, glory be to God. Our dear pastor is a man who has the love of God inside his heart for him to pay for a full tank, fill up his cars so that they can go and pick up some crippled persons in another city. This was like the true meaning of a man of God. But when I was handing those brown envelopes to those men that were inside the car, I then noticed that there was smell of cigarettes. I looked into the car and I saw that at the back there was a guy who was just smoking, and he was in the church premises. Mind you, they were sitting inside one of the pastor's car. Such disrespect. I felt so angry. Then there was another one that was on the passenger seat. He was drinking alcohol. They spoke with me. The other one even looked at my body and commented in such a bad way. He said, "This one is very beautiful." I returned back in church and I was really angry. From there on, I thought that maybe there was a light that was switched in my head, because when those two people came, those ones that were crippled, it was a man and a woman. I was the one who was responsible for their upkeep. I booked a place for them, and when I looked at the details, everything that was supposed to be done, it was being done in such a way that these people, when it will come for the day for the big Sunday, they will act as if they do not even know each other. But these people that were crippled, they were staying in the same city and they knew each other. So I took them to the hotel where they were staying, and I was given some notes and they were supposed to read those notes. On that occasion, I was not allowed to read the notes. Maybe he thought that I was not yet ready at that time, but the notes were those ones that they contained each and every word that he was going to say when it will come the day for the big Sunday. So those two crippled people, they had to cram each and every word that was written down word by word. So each and every day I would go and check up on them, and they would be busy rehearsing, meditating, as if they were meditating upon the word of God. When it came the big Sunday, one by one, we went and we picked them up, and after we had picked them up, we would drop them off in a place whereby no one will see us. Then they would use their wheelchairs to come to church. Then when they were in the churchyard, there were other ushers that would rush, and they would already be waiting to pick them up and to take them to different tents, because there was 2 overflow tents. So each one of them was taken to a different tent so that no one will ever suspect anything. That day, the pastor, as he was preaching, yes, it was a very powerful sermon, but I could not even listen to his sermon because I kept on thinking and thinking. That was when I received an SMS. I was supposed to rush to the delivery room because there were some items that were supposed to be taken there from the pastor's car. So after the keys had been handed to me, I then went to the Porsche car that the pastor was driving on that day, and I took out a box that was in the boot of the pastor's car, and I rushed to that other room that was in the delivery section. When I went there, when we were opening the box, my brother, what happened? I could not even believe it, because there was something that looked like a small machine, like a metallic bracelet. So this metallic bracelet, there was a man that was supposed to put it on his left leg, but after he had inserted that metallic bracelet, that was when I saw a miracle. But it was a technological miracle. His other leg was shorter than his other leg. This was quite surprising to me. The man was now taught on how to press the button at the exact time when the pastor will be saying, "Fire, fire, let your leg be healed," and he will be pressing the button slowly. As he was pressing the button, I saw that his leg was now as normal as the other leg. That was when everything was explained to me. So this bracelet, when the button was not pressed, it did not allow that man to stretch his normal leg to be as normal as the other one. So after pressing the button, that was when the bracelet will release so that he can stretch his leg. My brother, this was quite confusing to me because this was not okay. We were here to preach the word of God. When I saw that level of faking miracles, my brother, it shocked me, but I just wanted to see if it was going to work, if no one was going to suspect that deliberately this man was made to wear oversized trousers so that they can hide that metallic bracelet. When the prophecy time came, each and everyone was called, and they would not allow anyone that was not part of the program to go to the front. You always see that there will be someone that will be blocking you when you try to reach the front. So the only ones that were allowed to go to the front, they were those ones that had their names written in the book, and each and every one of them will know his own story, because for several days or weeks they would have reversed the few lines that contained the prophecy that they were supposed to be given on that day. So when they will be rehearsing these few lines, some of them, they would even do it on the camera so that they won't get scared of the camera when they will be busy getting their prophecies from the men of God. They were not supposed to look around, just focus on the men of God and everything that you will be saying. That man, my brother, he was called by the prophecy. The man of God said that he saw that in this congregation there was a man who had an accident, and after the accident he could not walk properly, and he was called even by his name but not his real name anyway. Then he was rushed to the front of the church and he was crying. When he finally reached to the front, he spoke a little bit with the men of God, but all of it was just rehearsed for many days. There were notes that had been given to that man, and each and every prophecy came true. Then, my brother, when the praying time came, the healing session began as everyone was singing. That is the way that they used to confuse people. A lot of music will be played so that people won't focus on the pastor. They would listen to the deep worship song that the praise and worship will start to sing. So the praise and worship didn't even realize that a fake miracle was about to be performed, because only a few knew everything that was about to happen. That man then started slowly pressing that small button as the man of God was praying for him, and the bracelet was slowly releasing his short leg until it had become as normal as the other leg. And as it was happening, his legs were being shown on the camera, and everyone in church started celebrating. It was such a great miracle, and everyone celebrated the goodness of the Lord. Those two that were crippled, they were taken to the front, and more miracles were performed on them, and they were told that for them to be able to walk, they were supposed to be taken through the delivery school, because there were some spirits that were fighting against the powers of the Lord. So more delivery was supposed to be performed on them. There was no time, since on that day a lot of people wanted to be healed. Prophecies were said upon their lives, and it just ended like that. You know, all those things that I saw, my brother, shocked me. And my only exit plan at that moment, after I had seen everything that I had seen, was to pretend that I was okay with everything that I had seen. I worked for that man for many years. After I had gotten married, I then said, my husband does not allow me to work. I cannot work anymore. After I had fallen pregnant, I even pretended as if the pregnancy that I was carrying was making me to become so sick. That was when he released me of my duties. Our dear sister then sent another message, and she said, so many years have gone down the line. My heart is filled with such pain because of the things that I saw. Terrible things are happening out there, my brother. When I listened to that story of that man who was saying that he is a magician and he is a pastor, it is true. Magicians in our generations have become pastors because we are chasing after miracles. Such a scary thing. when one says that magicians have become pastors.